Good, good evening. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Sunday, the 26th of October. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with me. I hope you can take some what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Anyway, I've got a heavy cold today, so bear with me. All right, okay. Obviously, the art markets have reopened, and actually, ES went up 50 points, which looked a bit alarming, and it killed the weak sell signal that had formed, and we had one of those on NQ as well. These weren't sell signals that I was really depending on or anything, so they failed. So it is what it is. We do have a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing on RTY. We've seen a retest of this high on it, and I would like to see this persist into the open tomorrow morning, so that we get the retest of this high on the RTH charts. YM has gone a bit higher, and we got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing there. I'd like to see these not. I don't particularly mind if they fix overnight, but I don't want to see a big decline from here overnight. I mean, we've got a couple of signals here, but I think we can probably do better. And I would like to see this RTY retest in RTH. That's the only retest we've not had yet. Apart from it's a retest of basically the new all-time high that was made first. All right, looking at DAX, still wondering, it's a bit oversized for a bull flag. This doesn't necessarily need to go back up to high, but obviously that is a possibility. On ESTX, although I'd prefer not to see that happen. On ESTX, we had a double bottom that broke up, and obviously that's made target, and we've got a nice looking potential level top here. All right, let's have a look at. All right, bear with me a moment. All right, let's have a look at the RTH charts. So. All right, let's have a look. And okay, nothing on the SPX ADP. In terms of the weekly chart, we've now got a possible weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing, and we're reaching. I had drawn in a possible trend line that we might be heading towards, and we've hit it. So that is now if we might go through it, obviously, tomorrow morning, but, we will see how that goes. Looking at the weekly Bollinger Bands chart, obviously, we've already got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed. We've got a full-size RSI 5 sell signal brewing. We've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing. You can see we've just hit this trend line here. Obviously, we might be overthrowing it slightly tomorrow morning. We'll see. On the daily chart, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. No sign of, no real chance of getting an RSI 5 sell signal. Although I would say if we do see a punch up tomorrow, then we could be in a position to potentially set up an RSI 5 sell signal there. In terms of where we are, we've got a nice looking double top here. But I was saying in my post on Friday that obviously potentially we could head up as far as this trend line here, and actually that would be up about 50 points. So it could be the one thing we're going to see tomorrow is this trend line hit. That would obviously, I was saying this was either a potential little top or a head and shoulders forming. That would have it leaning towards more the head and shoulders option. Looking at the Qs. I was wondering about a test of this trend line here, and again, I was wondering about a possible hit of this trend line here, and if it went through it, I've got a possible alternate which would be significantly higher. I was looking at that on Friday and gave all the levels for that too. Could we set up an RSI 5 sell signal here on the Qs? Not really, without going a bit higher. Dire. Yeah, just about. But we need obviously a pullback from here and a retest. On Dire, we got a potential level top, but again, I was wondering about a move up towards this wedge resistance, and if that didn't hold, I've got an alternate there too. Looking at the 15-minute charts, don't think there's an awful lot to see on those. All right, let's have a look at the IWM chart. Okay, we were short of a retest of this high here at 25277, and it looks as though we might get that tomorrow morning. That would set up a nice looking double top, which would be smaller than this one, or a part formed head and shoulders. We will see. Could we set up an RSI 5 sell signal here on the daily chart? No, not at the moment, and not probably not, even if we went up to test this trend line, although in that case it would be a maybe. In terms of DAX, DAX still kicking around the daily middle band. If we can get above it, then there's a chance that we might see a retest of the all-time high at 24.8k. On Nikkei, we actually hit a channel resistance trend line, which I'm wondering whether that will hold. We've got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing on the daily chart. All right, let's have a look at DX. Okay, DX. We saw this odd spike down. I'm not entirely sure this is real. But I've called this IHS failed if it is real. So week 60-minute sell signal is fixed. We've pretty much got down to the possible near miss target. I'm still leaning towards this being a setup which is likely to resolve in a retest this high and then very possibly a continuation higher. All right, looking at EURUSD, didn't retest the low here, which I was wondering about the second low over double bottom. No current divergence. GBP USD, not a lot to see. USD JPY has almost reached the retest of this high here, and that would be, let's give you a visual on that. This looks like an awful lot like a bull flag, so the obvious target for that is a retest of this high, which we haven't quite made yet. We do have a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed though. USD CAD, wondering about a possible bull flag forming here too. Australian dollar, actually, I was thinking this was a bear flag, but we've broken up from it and reached this declining resistance trend line, which is an obvious area to fail, but obviously gets potentially interesting if it breaks up through it. And NZ, this looks an awful lot like a bear flag forming. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And hang on. Okay. All right, looking at the US dollar, bigger picture, I'm wondering whether we're going to see this monthly possible RSI 5 buy signal fixed at the end of the month. Those tend to have a pretty good track record of making target, actually, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these made target, although one of them went lower and reconfirmed before it did so. So if we do see that fixed, that would be a fairly good signal that we might be seeing some more upside. I'm leaning towards seeing more upside, and what I'm leaning towards seeing is this double bottom breaking up and sustained break up over 126 looks for a target in the 104 to 104.25 area. I'm leaning towards seeing that. We've been holding the daily middle band at the moment, and as long as that continues, I think we can potentially go straight up from here. On the bigger picture, of course, this is a bull flag. We could be heading back up into a retest of the high at 114.78, but I think that's something we'd have a look at when we can get back into the 105 area, which of course would have us testing the monthly middle band. Break and convert that, and we're looking higher. And also, that gets us above that, and it also gets us above the 50-week moving average at 102.69. I'm liking that, and I'm liking that also because we've got a nice mirror bear flag on the euro, and we've got another one of those on GBP. That looks pretty good. USD JPY, I can see this retesting this high here at 162, but I'm a bit skeptical about it getting much higher because we've got nice looking wedge megaphone resistance here. This is one reason I'm thinking it might go to 104 and fail there. So we will see. Looking at the daily chart there, no current divergence. USD CAD, I'm wondering about a retest of this high here at 1.4793, but again, I'm slightly skeptical about it getting much higher. We've got a really nice looking level top here. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. But again, I'm wondering if they're going to see that move and then fail at 104 on the DX chart. Nothing really to see on the daily chart. RSI 5 sell signals reached the possible near miss target, got very close to the target. Australian dollar hasn't meaningfully broken up over this declining resistance trend line. I'm wondering about a move down to retest the low. Again, that wouldn't be a bad match with DX going to 104. Looking at the daily chart, nothing to see really in terms of divergence. Looking at NZ, we've been in this long consolidation, and I'm thinking we'd go to this consolidation low support in the 54.50 area. Sorry, 55 area rather. So that would be a good fit. So overall, I'm really liking the dollar going up to that, but I'm thinking it might well fail hard there. And I am wondering if, with the fundamentals we're looking at, whether a retest of that high on the dollar would be achievable. All right, let's have a look at bonds. Okay, ZB, we've got a possible nested double top here, and it's starting to break down. So I've called that, it's got a target basically in the 116.27 area, and that is monthly pivot. This is part of a potentially larger topping pattern, which could be an asymmetric double top or a part formed head and shoulders. So I'm watching that with great interest. A 60-minute buy signal is fixed in the short term. On ZN, 60-minute sell signal has reached the possible near miss target. We've got a little level top here. I haven't actually called that. That broke down a few days ago and it's done very little sense. But I'm thinking this might head down. And again, we've got a potential larger double top here, which I'll be watching. So we could be looking at a significant move down in bonds here. And we will see how that goes. All right, looking at the bigger picture charts on that. Yep. Right, TYX. TYX on the daily chart, no current divergence, and on the TNX daily chart, we've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed, and on the TLT daily chart, no current divergence. So it's not as much as I was hoping in terms of the reversal signals here, but we've got a TNX daily RSI 5 sell signal, and they do tend to make target generate. In fact, we've got a whole load of them on this chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 previous ones on this chart, and 9 of them made target up at the 70 area or very close to it. So I'm liking the odds on this fixed RSI 5 buy signal, and we've got a potential little double bottom here, sustained break up over 42.01, looks for a target in the 44 to 44.5 area. TYX didn't get any positive divergence here, but I've got a pattern here which I'm wondering whether this is a flag. And actually, it's a little better than shown here, so bear with me a moment. I'm just going to alter this because occasionally you get your, well, actually quite regularly on these, you get over time your trend lines drift on these. Not perfect, but that is a decent looking little bull flag, which is underthrown bullishly. So I'm thinking we may well go up from here. We've got a nice looking double bottom. That looks pretty good too. In terms of the TLT chart, on the daily chart, no double top here, but I'm thinking we could have a head and shoulders form easily enough. Wondering about a move down. And on the hourly chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and I think we might have a buy signal fixed on TNX as well. Yeah, we do, an RSI 14 buy signal. So I'm liking the odds for a reversal here. I'd like. It's not quite as solid as it could be, but it's pretty solid, so I like it. We'll see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at CL. All right, looking at CL, we had all these falling wedges I was looking at last week, and they all broke up. And they broke up pretty hard. And they broke up so hard that I'm wondering if we have actually reached targets to the downside. We didn't quite make it on my continuous chart, but actually it's a pretty decent looking double bottom there. It could be that that's going to be enough. Meantime, we've got up to here. We are potentially forming an inverse head and shoulders right shoulder, and I'm watching that carefully. 60-minute sell signal is fixed short term, and we've got another one on HO, which broke up and almost retested the September high, which was one hell of a move. And RBOB, we've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed as well. I'm wondering about seeing some retracement here. Here on RBOB, we've got the only really decent topping pattern here, which is basically looking for a move down to the current weekly pivot area. Really about the 1.83 area. We shall see. All right, looking at natural gas. Natural gas, we also saw a pretty impressive breakup. This, well, I haven't been mentioning often that we've got the seasonally strong period into December, and I'm thinking, sorry, cold. I'm thinking that this is part of that move. So we had a little head and shoulders form here. It broke down, then almost immediately failed. We've got a 60-minute sell signal fix, has reached the possible near miss target. This could be a bull flag forming, and wouldn't be an awful one so far. Or we could be forming a larger reversal pattern for a retracement. We will see, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this going straight up. In terms of where we are on that, in terms of the expectations in terms of the future, what's already priced into the futures markets. Let's have a quick look at that. November, obviously we're moving on from November, and you can see that we had a rise of a lot between November and December. So we've got that. In terms of what more upside I'm expecting, well, on the roll from December into January, I'm expecting a roll of an extra 30 cents or something, and after that, that's done. And actually, December is now the main contract, so we're out of the November contract now. So I've got that up in the 4.029 area. We'll see. But I'm not expecting to see an awful lot more upside, because after we see a peak in as we go into the January contract, then that's the peak, and is drifting down for a few months after that, reaches another high in the summer high, and then, well, we'll see. It's we'll see how that goes, but I think much of that rise that I've been talking about for, well, quite a while may actually be already in the price now. We'll see how that goes from there, but I'm not really thinking the overall pattern setup is bullish. It was just a seasonal rise. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on that. Right, bigger picture, looking at the oils, I was looking for a potential retest of this low. We almost made it. We got down to 56.31. Yes, so we got very, very close. And this is this spot? Yeah, it's spot. It's not continuous chart on the futures. So we almost made it. We could come back and do more, but we've actually got the double bottom that I've been talking about as a possibility. In terms of the daily chart, we had an RSI 5 buy signal fixed at the lows, and that's made target. But you can see the potential level bottom here. It's not perfect. I do prefer seeing a lower low on the second low. But if we see this break up, then we'd be looking at a sustained break up over the 78 area, would get us up into potentially just over 100, which would be obviously a pretty impressive move. Looking at heating oil, we've got again, we've got the same falling wedge, broken up, looking for a reversal pattern here. That reversal pattern could well be an IHS, and this is a pretty decent looking IHS forming. We will see how that goes. We didn't have a buy signal on the low, but we would have made target if we had one. Looking at gas oil, again, we got the wedge, we got the reversal, we've got the bottoming pattern, which here would most definitely be a double bottom. I was watching carefully to see if it reached the wedge support, but it didn't, so I haven't redrawn the resistance trend line. Sorry, I'm a bit muggy from the cold. So we've got a very nice looking double bottom here too. In terms of that, we had a daily RSI 5 buy signal, and that's made target. This has been a strong enough move that I'm definitely seriously considering the possibility that we're not going to come back and retest these lows. We will see. In terms of this bear flag that I was watching for most of the year before it finally broke down, that has made target. And a retest the low, and that set up the second low of the double bottom that I've again been talking about for most of the year. All right, natural gas. Natural gas, I've got that. This is the spot chart rather than continuous chart as well, and all that means is that the front futures price doesn't automatically become the price. But this has seen a nice move up. We've got an IHS which is broken up, and that's got a target in the 3.7 area. We haven't quite made it, and I'm still expecting it to, in all probability. Could we be forming a pattern from the low? Not a really good one, I don't think. But hang on, I'm just going to test one trend line. Yeah, sorry, I'm feeling very bunged up, so if my voice is sounding a little odd, that's the reason. Did we form a good trend line here? We did not. So anyway, I'm just going to leave that in as a possibility that we can come back to, but I don't think we're going to form a decent trend line there, so we will see how that goes. All right, in terms of the overall setup here, what I'm looking at is after we've got this seasonal spike out of the way, I think the obvious move is likely to break down through this monthly middle band, which we've held so far for 3 months, break down from that and potentially retest this low here at 1.54. I'm not seeing much reason to think this wouldn't do that. We've got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed on the monthly, which is backing that up. The RSI 14 sell signal is less important. But these have a pretty good track record of making target. So I'm leaning towards seeing that, and we could retest this low and set up a potential larger double bottom. All right, looking at the weekly chart, nothing really to see on the daily chart. No divergence. Could be forming a bear flag here, but I don't see a decent quality one. So really, I'm just expecting it to reach this 3.7 target, and then we see how it goes from there. All right, great. Let's have a look at gold. Okay, gold. We've seen our first significant retracement since it broke up in August, and this has been pretty decent. Albeit we still haven't made my double top target, which is down here in the 39.75 area, but this does look like a bear flag forming, and I am leaning towards it going at least a bit lower. We've got a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed, hasn't made target yet. We'll see. Might need to go up a little more before it does. Looks like a bear flag forming here on SI, but more importantly, it looks like the right shoulder on a head and shoulders. If we see this breakdown, a sustained breakdown below the 46.4 area, we'll be looking for a target in the 39.7 area. Don't know if it'll get that down that low, but that would be a pretty decent back test of broken resistance, so I wouldn't rule it out. On palladium, we may again be forming a head and shoulders. On platinum, nothing is clear. We will see, but I've got more to say about these on the daily charts. On HG, I've been looking for a retest of this high here, which we're now pretty close to on a gap up at the open tonight. And if we see that, I'm leaning towards that being the second high of a double top to set up a retest of this low here, which I'm surprised hasn't happened already. So I think that might be on the way now. We will see how that goes. 60-minute sell signal is fixed, but obviously we've been continued higher through that so far. Only need to go a little higher, and we can actually retest that high, at which point it would definitely have my permission to fail. All right, looking at gold. Gold, we've got up obviously through this trend line that I was looking at as potential resistance on the daily chart here. Sorry, the monthly chart here. On the weekly chart, we've got no negative divergence now because we've gone through it all. On the daily chart, sorry, that's another weekly chart. On the daily chart, we do have an RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and that hasn't made target yet. No, it doesn't necessarily have to, but I'm leaning towards it doing so. What I would say is we've held support so far at the daily middle band, and we've hit this rising support trend line here pretty much perfectly. This could hold into a retest of the high or a higher high. So I'm watching this with interest. And if we hold that trend line, then obviously it's going to be hard to get lower. So I am noting that potential support. In terms of the daily chart on silver, we got RSI 5 sell signal as reached possible near miss target. Not taking as much notice of the RSI 14 one, but we have broken below the daily middle band there. We've been consolidating below it. A little inflection point here. We can go lower, but obviously if we break up, then we're probably going to see a retest of the high next. Looking at palladium. On the weekly chart, we've got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing. That's a long way from fixing. On the daily chart, we didn't get any negative divergence, so we'll see. We're testing again the daily middle band at the moment, and it's holding that support so far. Looking at platinum, we've got possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing and a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing on the weekly chart, but again, we're some way away from that fixing, and I'm a little doubtful about that happening. On the daily chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, but more importantly, we had an RSI 5 sell signal all fixed, and that has made target. We've gone below any trendline support here. We could go lower still. But on the bigger picture, I'm leaning towards platinum breaking up here over this resistance here. We've just basically come back and back tested this broken inverted head and shoulder resistance. We've gone a little lower than that, but really that doesn't matter unless we get through the right shoulder low, which is down here at 1250, and we've not got close to that yet. All right, let's have a look at copper. We've still got a monthly RSI 5 sell signal fixed. Sooner or later, I'm thinking that will make target. We've been consolidating for quite a while, but I think the next big move is likely to be lower. This head and shoulders that we're developing at the moment. Possible level top we're forming at the moment. If we can get back up, retest this high, then we can come back down, retest these lows, and then come back and potentially go significantly lower. We will see. We have got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed on the daily chart, but that's reached the possible near miss target. Low quality RSI, weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed. Or is it? No, actually, it's not awful. But it's not awesome either. The RSI 5 one, as is often the case, is the main one I'm looking at here. Okay, looking at GDX, we didn't get any negative divergence on the weekly charts there. We could get some with a retest of the high from here. On the daily charts, we did have RSI 14 and RSI 5 sell signals fixed. The RSI 5 sell signal has reached possible near miss target, and the RSI 14 sell signal hasn't reached target yet. It may not, but I've got to say the track record for these making targets is pretty good. This one failed here. Actually, this one failed here, so actually it's only 2 out of 4. Here, I'm a little skeptical because if gold goes higher, obviously this is likely to follow. So we'll see how that goes. We've seen pretty much exactly the same thing happen on GDX and GDXJ. Again, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed on GDXJ, and the weak RSI 5 sell signal has reached the possible near miss target. So waiting to see if gold is going to do some more downside or not. In terms of the hourly charts, no current divergence. We made the sell signal targets that I was looking for, and we are developing. Not any particularly obvious topping patterns here. The only good ones we've got are on silver and palladium. All right, great. Let's have a look at the other commodities. Okay, looking at KC. KC, I've got more to say about this on the daily chart. We retested this high here, and it may be we've done enough to the upside, and that we're on the way down here. Short term, 60-minute sell signal has reached the possible near miss target. Looking at sugar, we've got a possible nested double bottom here, or more like a single double bottom and a part formed IHS. I'm quite liking the upside here. We've got a 60-minute buy signal here, although we've had one for a while and it hasn't made target yet. Looking at CC. This looked very different when I rolled it into the March contract because this megaphone had broken up, but you can see a perfect falling megaphone here. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is not broken up therefore, and we're possibly reversing there into a retest of the low. We've got a 6-minute sell signal fixed. We shall see. Looking at CT, still wondering about a move to this IHS target in the 65.7 area. That IHS thought about failing but didn't do so. Lumber rolled into January, and we've got a nice move down, which is breaking up slightly. Weak 6-minute buy signal is fixed. I'm leaning towards seeing a rally here, but after that, I'm still leaning towards the downside. Looking at wheat, made the IHS target. 6-minute sell signal is fixed, although we've seen a bit of a move up from there. So we'll see how that goes. Pretty close to a test of the monthly pivot, but obviously that's only a monthly pivot until the close on Friday. Corn, getting pretty close to a retest of the high, no current negative divergence. On soy, soy, you can see we're actually gapping up here. I was wondering if we'd see a retest of this high, and it looks as though it wants to do that. I've got that in about the 108.1 1/4 area. On ZL, this still looks like a bear flag for me. On live cattle, we've seen a fairly significant retracement. I'm watching to see if we get down to this possible head and shoulder neckline in the 230 area. We could form a head and shoulders there potentially. And looking at lean hogs, we've got a potential double bottom here and a weak 60-minute buy signal, which has fixed. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And coffee. Coffee, I was really looking for a retest of this high here at 4.408. We've got pretty close to it. We've got a possible nested double top here. We've got a weekly RSI 5 sell signal fixed and a full size one brewing. This isn't a bad setup, and that is an acceptable double top, although it's not quite the full retest of 4.41 that I wanted, as we nearly got up to 4.38, but we'll see. On the daily chart, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. We're not going to get one on the RSI 5. On sugar, on the monthly chart, mainly I'm watching to see RSI 14 sell signals reach the possible near miss target. We do have this big inverted head and shoulders, which is broken down with a target in the 6.59 area, as I've been mentioning every week. But I've got a pretty good, decent looking falling wedge here, which I'm thinking may well break up. We will see. We do have a very nice looking potential double bottom here, all part formed inverted head and shoulders, and I am thinking if we can find some buyers, then that's looking pretty good. We do have a weekly RSI 5 buy signal fix. On the daily chart, we've got a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing, and really, if it's going to turn, this would be the place. So we'll see. Cocoa. Cocoa on the monthly chart, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fix. This has broken down below big support. We're seeing a bit of a rally at the moment, but it's still broken down below big support. And that may well follow through to the downside. Not a bad looking falling wedge here. So watching that with interest without really thinking that this is going to break back up in a big way. In terms of wheat, nice move up here. We're back over the daily middle band. I am wondering about this as a potential double bottom. And if we can see a sustained break up over 535, then we would have a target, which would be up at about the 565 to 570 area. Looking at corn, nice looking double bottom as well. I'm getting pretty close to falling wedge resistance. I'd like to see that break, and I'd like to see that double bottom break up. These are both the nice moves that I've been talking about as a potential on wheat and corn. So we'll see. On the daily chart, no current divergence. You can see actually in the short term, we've got this very nice looking inverted head and shoulders forming, and it's pretty close to breaking up. We will see how that goes. No divergence at the moment, apart from a weak RSI 14 sell signal, which I'm not really paying much attention to. Looking at soybeans, I've got this as a bear flag, but obviously we could head up to flag resistance, and I've got that up in about the 1085 area. So we'll see. We are above the weekly middle band at the moment. On cotton, this is a very nice looking double bottom here. And I'd like to see this break up. We will see. But are we going to break up or not? Well, only time can tell us for sure. But this could break up at any time and deliver a pretty impressive bull move. We'll see. But I'm not seeing a retest of the low as a necessity. Might be something we see anyway, but it's not a necessity. On lumber, we've got a very nice looking bear flag. Within that bear flag, we've got a double top which has broken down, and we've seen a pretty strong rally. We're getting back below the daily middle band weekly middle band again now, and closed below it. I would like to see this head down towards a target at a retest this low here in the 35250 area. Looking at lumber. On the daily chart, we've got RSI 14 has made the possible near miss target. Hard breakdown below the daily middle band. This would be an opportunity for this to turn and go down, but I don't have really anything in way of a topping pattern so far. It may be that we're going to need to pause and consolidate for a while to build one up, and actually the obvious way to build one up would be to retest this high at 635. Nothing strongly suggesting we're going to do that, but it is a possibility to bear in mind. All right, and lastly today, but not least, is crypto. Let's have a look at that. Okay, crypto's had a pretty good weekend, actually. I was talking about this, I was writing about this, I think I did a post on Thursday. But here, we actually managed to close back above the weekly middle band, which was pretty strong. I am wondering now about a possible retest of this high. In terms of the daily chart, sorry about the sniffling. It's in terms of the daily chart, we've got this double top which is broken down, but we've closed back above the weekly middle band. We're back currently above the 50 DMA as well, daily middle band rather. This has a shot at a retest of the high now. This is what I was disappointed not to see last week. And it is actually now happening. We will see. In terms of the short term, a little bit of negative divergence on the RSI 5 chart, not necessarily anything to be paying much attention to though. Looking at Solana, we held the weekly middle band again because it was only on Bitcoin where we'd broken below this. So we've held that again, and that is looking pretty good. On the daily chart, we closed back above the daily middle band, waiting to see if this is going to confirm today, but at the moment, that's looking pretty good. We've got some decent resistance above at the 50 DMA at 213.35, but I'm actually encouraged to see it's got back over the daily middle band. We will see. Looking at the hourly charts, no current divergence. I am wondering about this being a trend line that will hold into a retest of the high, and that's what I was hoping to see, and it's looking as though it might deliver it. What I would say though is, if it's going to do that, then obviously that would suggest that equities are going to go higher as well. I did want to talk about that because I've got a couple of bearish leading days next week. But apart from that, we've November and December don't historically aren't great times to be looking for declines. Looking through the November chart next week, we've got firmly bullish leading days on Monday, Tuesday. Sorry, week after next. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We've got a bearish leading day on Tuesday the 11th. Bullish leading day on Friday 21st. Bullish leading days on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 24th through 26th. We've only got one. We've got a lot of bullish leading days in November. We've got one bearish leading day. Looking at December, got a bullish leading day on the 8th. Bearish leading day on Wednesday the 17th. Bullish leading day on Friday the 19th. We've got again. I think we've got two bearish days because we've also got Wednesday the 31st. But again, we don't seem to see. I am thinking that if we're going to do it, we'll do it next week. After that, I've got to say, I am wondering about all that bullish leading tape. I don't recall seeing much in the way of big retracements in November and December historically. We've seen some, definitely. But I'm thinking if we are going to see a retracement here, then hanging around for another week would not be great for the stats. We will see. Okay. In terms of Ethereum had held the weekly middle band and did it again. We're back over the daily middle band there too. I've got decent resistance at the 50 DMA, which are getting pretty close to. But actually, these had a very bullish weekend, and that's of course what we're seeing again on the charts for ES at the opens. Now, I think some of that is that Trump was, blowing very hot against the Chinese, and there's now a lot of talk that the informal talks with the Chinese have been going very well so far. I have said that I don't think the US has much of a negotiating position with the Chinese. Threatening them with cooking oil is no substitute for being threatened with rare earths, which are actually very essential for basically all of high-tech manufacturing. We will see how that goes. But we've got an inflection point over the next few days. The historical stats would suggest that breaks up. I'm skeptical. We've got some very nice patterns. I'd like to see a retrace based on those patterns. We'll see whether we actually get it. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care. I'll catch you guys again on Wednesday.